Hello, everyone. Welcome to Orange and Brew, the podcast where we married our two favorite pastimes, the Denver Broncos and beer. I am one of your hosts, JT Matthews at JTMatthews01 on Twitter, and I am here with the Dr. Nicholas Manning at DR_in Manning on Twitter as well, and super producer and co-host John Cronenberg at John K NFL. How we doing today, boys? John, how you been? You and I haven't done a pod for a while, so I need to check in on you, my man.
Yeah, it's been way too long. Honestly, I'm just very excited about football being right around the corner. This week we get training camp. In a few weeks we're getting college getting going. It's just an exciting time for all football fans, and this is kind of the lull before the storm hits. We're there. It's just kind of in the eye of the hurricane. So how have you been, though, JT?
Totally. Been okay. Been dealing with some family stuff. Last week's been a little busy for me, but, just keep grinding, keep doing our thing. Not every week's going to be the best week. So hanging in there. Doc, how you feeling today?
Oh, well, now I feel like I should No, I'm good. Went Cub Scout camping this last weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Made it. Not only did it, but as like a leader, I was exhausted. I have not been that tired in the middle of a Sunday that I can recall. Shout out to JT for covering the little Seahawks football team that my nephew and my son, his nephew and son, but our sons are different. Anyway, so big shout out to you. My daughter played all of her soccer game. However, did not come with pants. Sounds like
that's true.
That's apparent at the moment. I was at Cub Scout. I'm not going to say who or what.
I was coaching, and I didn't even notice.
Yeah, because she had the long shirt on until she went full Brittany Chastain, right?
Randy Chastain, yeah.
Randy Chastain shirt up. So there was that. Overall, that was great. My daughter turns 9 on Saturday. My nephew turned 6. JT's son, Monday. So it's back-to-backers, and then his second-born son has a birthday the week following. So we action-packed over here. Overall good.
We are in a busy part of the summer for sure. It's been a lot, but soon they go back to school. Which is,
you're excited for it already, guys.
Man, I love my kids, and I would do anything for them, but also I want them to go back to school. So that's just life and the truth. But yeah, I mean, summer's been interesting. The weather's been hot lately. Again, we're kind of past, at least for the moment, all the rain. I'm guessing that we may be past that for the most part. And it feels like summer, which I think some people will probably be in a big fan of. The heat is not my favorite thing. So
not for me. I'm
a cold over hot guy, to be honest.
I got a few extra pounds. It's just not necessary for me. And for me, it is just one of those things. Summer just means water bills, electricity to cool your house, everything. So I get you there.
Well, the good thing is, like you said, football is right around the corner. We got training camp in 2 days. We've got Ohio State football just around the corner, which I know you're super excited about.
Yep.
And let's just jump into some talk. Let's jump into some news around the AFC West. A lot has happened. Believe it or not, the first time we can say that in a while, that a lot has happened. Let's talk a little bit about Josh Jacobs and the impact that the Saquon Barkley deal might have on him. Doc, you got those contract numbers?
Yeah. Sorry, which one first?
Saquon.
So Saquon signed a 1-year, $10.091 million contract, according to Spotrac. Including $909,000 in incentives, which could obviously bring it up to $11 million. I think it was just below the franchise tag number that was initially signed. So he gets a $2 million signing bonus, which doesn't happen with the franchise tag.
Right.
So there's that base salary of $8 million and some change. His incentives are $303,000 for each. So if he has 1,350 yards rushing plus a playoff berth, that's the interesting part. All of these are attached to playoff berths. 11 total touchdowns plus playoff berth. 65 receptions plus playoff berth. That's the way that he can hit his incentives. So, I think I don't know that we talked about it before, but this is on the heels of the of none of the remaining 3 franchise tagged running backs being offered a long-term deal. Or signing. Josh Jacobs was reportedly in the parking lot waiting for the deal to be done, and that never came to fruition. Saquon Barkley, it sounds like they were fairly close. Pollard had already signed his deal, so I don't know that he was rushing to do that. And then we also already know about Dalvin Cook being cut in on the market, as well as Austin Eckler asking for more money, not getting more money, asking for a trade, not getting a trade. So the running back position is definitely has taken some hits. That group met via Zoom to have some discussions about how to move together forward. I don't know that this was the plan.
Right.
I don't know that it isn't. I don't know what the leg to stand on. So we did move the franchise number up by getting more money than the franchise tag number, which helps the group in the long term. He can't sign a long-term deal after last Monday. So I don't know what could have happened, but it definitely felt like kind of like Scab crossing the line a little bit. Like, oh man, you guys all met. Everyone's all angry, tweets and emojis, and you signed this pretty quick. But if they franchise tag him again next year, this does raise his salary that he would get next year versus if he didn't sign the deal this way. So I can see why it doesn't seem like the needle. The plus playoff berths. I think the Giants are in a good spot. The NFC is pretty weak. It's a dependent position. Daniel Jones has any regression whatsoever. They're also playing second place schedule? No, third place schedule. Maybe that's a lot to bet on team success for a running back to get his. So those are lofty totals. 1,350. I think maybe 2 running backs hit that last year.
Right.
So, and if I'm the Giants and I'm trying to be frugal with the change, I might control how many touches he gets.
Yeah. John, what's your take?
You don't want him to wear down. You don't want him to wear down.
Yeah. What's your take, John? Was this a good move? Was this a bad move? Ultimately, I mean, for Saquon personally, and then the running back group,
I think
free agents.
Yeah, I think for Saquon personally, this is probably the best move he could have made at the time. I don't think he was planning on sitting out, having another year just kind of on his body, and then, him crossing over those certain age thresholds where you lose money. So I think he had to get a deal done. And it's one of those things where, again, across the league, like Doc was saying, it's going to raise that price tag for other running backs. But at the end of the day, the running back position group, I don't think is going to change in terms of value across the NFL from the executives. I think they're still going to see it as is. It's like Austin Eckler. Let's make him happy for a year. How do we do that? Let's give him a couple million more dollars. With Barkley, let's just get him over a little bit more closer to the franchise tag with a little bit more money here and there. It feels like they're kind of just they're doing just the minimal they can do in order to keep those running backs advancing. And I understand why. There's so many different running backs you can get in the draft, and they can go bad pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with all that. Let's talk a little bit about a holdout for the Kansas City Chiefs and Chris Jones.
Jones.
Just want overall opinions. Obviously, this is a big blow to them if he ends up sitting out for some considerable amount of time. He's he's just a playmaker on defense. He's a team or a player that any team would be happy to have on that defensive line, and to go without could be really detrimental to them. Doc, what are your thoughts on that overall?
I mean, I love Chris Jones. Chris Jones is, outside of Aaron Donald, I don't know that there's an interior pass rusher player that I would want more. I think what do you have, 15.5 sacks last year? Does that sound right to anyone? He can play the edge, not your stand-up necessarily, but he can move up and down the defensive front, especially if you're Kansas City. He's really the one marquee player on that unit. You remove him. I mean, can any of you give me 3 players? Obviously, I think we probably could scratch together 3 players.
Right.
But I think that the whole is greater than the individual parts kind of group.
Yeah.
But he is an individual part. So him wanting to be the second highest paid interior defensive lineman, he should be. He should be. So I think that that's valid. I always understand a team not wanting to give a player more money if they don't have to.
Yep.
It's just like, why would I just go pay people more if I don't have to? So I get it. I also worry about whether or not him being on a holdout, whether or not that's really going to ruin his opportunity to stay healthy as the season goes. You guys want to say hi to one of my favorite co-hosts?
We got a guest spot. Eva. What's up, Eva?
Hey, can you say hi to my friends?
Hi.
Hi. Way to crash the party.
I know.
Chris Jones. Should the Chiefs pay him?
Yeah, they need to pay him. If they want to stay in Super Bowl contention and be prepared for that, I think they need a top 20 defense in order to get the wins they want. Hopefully get a week 1 bye from the playoffs, get that wild card bye. That's really important. So for me, Chris Jones is one of those key players. Like we were talking about, can you name 3 other guys? When we're talking about the other guys, it's like Nick Bolton. Well, we're worried about some of his certain aspects and his play style, and can it work for this long? And Trent McDuffie, we need to see stuff happen. So I think this Chiefs defense needs to stay in the top 20 at least. And I think without Chris Jones, they're not going to be able to do that. And they seem pretty far apart at the $30 million average per year, it sounds like, which the Chiefs don't sound like they want to go up to that 30 million at all.
Right.
So that's really where the difference lies. And it also sounds like there's some differences in guarantees.
Yeah. I think this one may linger for a while. And, I think at the end of the day, we always like to see the players be rewarded, especially if they're high productivity players. So I think they'll get it done. I think hopefully then, well, I say hopefully for Chris Jones, maybe not for the Chiefs, but hopefully the impact on that relationship will be minimal and they'll be able to work something out. Let's jump to the Justin Herbert deal. This was yesterday, I think news broke. Maybe yesterday. That's all.
Yeah, like yesterday, like early.
Yeah. You got those details, Doc?
I do. So Justin Herbert is a
Herbert.
Signed 5-year, $262 million contract with reported $218.7 million guaranteed. The cool part that I think that I'm aware of is the cash flow. So I did read that potentially he will get $100 million in cash in the first calendar year, which is pretty interesting. If they were to cut him next year, for instance, the dead cap would be $129,400,000. So he's going to be there for a bit, probably not a real out until 2028. So again, this is an extension. So he's playing on the 5th-year tag,
right,
and then gets 5-year extension. So his cap hit next year will be $36 million, $44 million, $39 million, $38 million. So not bad in terms of cap hits. Right? Yeah. He's well under that. Sorry, I lied. I lied.
Revisionist history.
37. That's the cash that he'll get out.
Okay.
So 37 million, 46, then 58, and 71. So obviously there will be another restructure after the 2027 season. I think with inflation, you probably can get away with the 58 by then, probably. 71 million cap hit's gonna be a little rough, especially for a team that's cash strapped like the Chargers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's coming. Don't jump the gun.
Sorry.
It's a good move for the Chargers. I mean, this is a guy that I think everyone can acknowledge is, a top 10 quarterback probably at this point in his career, maybe higher than that. Is young, has potential. Obviously the Chargers aren't necessarily known for being a super successful franchise, but the quarterback is the position that matters. And so when you get, even if you think it's someone close to, being an elite prospect, you got to pull the trigger on that. Would you have done the same, John?
Yeah, and again, it just is going to make the other quarterbacks that are rated above him that are younger get those bigger deals. So now, Joe Burrow, he's going to get a higher deal. It's just going to raise the floor for other players, for backups on other teams, for everyone in the quarterback position room, essentially. Yep. So in a sense, if I were a team, I'd rather get ahead of some of these contracts than be behind and having to be that team making the big deal signing to change the position for the entire year, for the entire course of their trajectory.
Right. No, yeah, I agree with that. I think if you have any business savvy, you want to get on the early end of these signings and not be the last one, because chances are like you said, the floor will be raised as far as pricing goes. So interesting to see the moves within the division. I miss Kadarius Toney. Looks like he's going to be, or it sounds like he'll be ready to go for the regular season for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's going to miss a bunch of camp, but they are hopeful.
Hopeful is the word. Yep. Quick, we'll run through just a few little minor things with the Broncos. Baron Browning and Kendall Hinton are starting on the PUP list. We'll see how that ends up, how long they end up being on there. And when we get some availability from them, Mike Purcell, KJ Hamler are on the non-football injury list. So for whatever reason, they'll be missing some time as well in camp. Hopefully nothing too serious going on with them. And we wish them the best in getting back and getting back to work. And I think we'll talk about the other stuff on the other side. So let's jump right now into our favorite time of the day, and that is beer time. Oh, it's
amateur hour over here.
Sorry, my bad.
You both pushed the button?
Yeah, we both did.
It
happens.
It happens. It happens. Well, we got some beers today. John,
yes,
you got a beer?
We do.
Doc, do we have the same beer?
We do.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're gonna. I'm a little worried about this one, but I'll let John start. John, what are you drinking today?
Yeah, I am drinking Cerveza Pacifico Clara. This is a beer from Mexico, so it has a lot of nice things written on it. I honestly cannot read it, cannot read Spanish, but it is. It does say brewed and bottled in someplace I can't say in Mexico as well. But hey, this looks like it's worth a try. A lighter beer. I think you were telling me it's a lighter Mexican kind of lager style kind of beer. So excited to try this with the lower ABV of 4.4. Just trying something a little bit different for once. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, Pacifico is good. I like Pacifico. I haven't had a Pacifico in a minute, but it's a good solid summer beer. So at least you are on
perfect
point.
Temperature, perfect everything. We're good.
Yeah, perfect everything. You got some sunshine.
And again, this was another viewer suggestion, so appreciate it.
Perfect,
you guys.
Nice.
Doc, what are we drinking today?
We got the New Belgium's Voodoo Ranger Fruit Force IPA. So JT right here said he was a little worried about this one because wait for it.
Yeah.
I
think it's under your hand.
Wait for it.
JT, just pull it out. You can do it in time.
Boom.
Where is it?
There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
9.5%. It's a strong bad boy.
Yeah.
I'm also a little worried because it is a fruit punch IPA.
Now, when I think of fruit punch, I really think of that like over the top, like kid fruit punch.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
I think of Wendy's.
Oh,
I see the
High
fruit
C.
punch High C.
Oh yes,
You
yes.
think
yes.
of I think of Kool-Aid, like High C.
Yes,
like
same thing.
Fruit punch Kool-Aid, like the blue
You
packet.
literally just said what I said, and then like
Not High C. I meant Kool-Aid. I said High C, but I meant Kool-Aid.
I think you said Kool-Aid and Icy. You got both.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, like the blue packets of Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I get. There's just they're not the same though.
Hey, I have a question for you guys.
That's what I thought of. All right.
Have you guys seen that? A lot of people in the South, they use for like pickling, just obviously pickles. They use a lot of Mountain Dew and drinks like that. So like you end up or Kool-Aid, and you end up with like a blue pickle. No. I don't know why I brought it to mind, but
what did you think of?
It just made me think of it because you guys were talking Kool-Aid and stuff, and so I'm like different cultures, bro.
different strokes for different folks, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little worried. I don't know what a fruit punch any beer tastes like. I've never had fruit punch in beer form.
Yeah,
maybe it's just gonna be like slightly fruity, and then the alcoholic taste is really gonna. I mean, not the alcoholic taste, but the contents are really gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's an IPA, so it's like this weird. Like when I think of fruit punch, I think of like overly sweet, like super sweet.
Yeah. Then
with IPA, I think like pretty heavy bitter. So it's going to be a weird marriage. I think I'm setting the bar low is what I'll say. As much as I like Voodoo Ranger is a great IPA. I've had it a number of times from New Belgium, but fruit punch, I guess we'll see. You ready to crack these bad boys open? Is yours a twist cap or is it I can't remember. Or a bottle opener?
Mine's a bottle. I need a bottle opener for this.
Yeah.
Either that or I just have delicate fingers and don't make fun.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't honestly know. So the secret's safe with you. All right. Let's pop these bad boys open. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah.
Oh, it smells.
It smells interesting.
Yeah,
it almost smells like lemony or something. I mean, maybe a little fruit punchy. I almost got like a Leinenkugel summer shandy like smell for those who know what that is.
You guys are eating Kugel?
Leinenkugel. It's a beer.
I mean, I know what Kugel is. I mean, obviously being. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Oh my God! What is this? This is weird.
I mean, just hearing you guys and looking at your faces. I mean, I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
But, your eyes just like went completely shut for a second. It's like that now they're huge. Like you don't know what to do.
I don't.
Take another sip. Let's have another. You guys aren't going for another sip.
I'm afraid to take another sip. To be honest, the first.
I'm not seeing it. Who's going to be the brave one? Who's going to be the brave one to take the second sip?
I mean, I'm going to drink it. It's 9.5. Let it do some work.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
Okay, tell me what crazy is. Crazy can be many things.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe not.
Where are we talking in the crazy scale?
This is not it's not a good crazy.
It's
you know what I think of. There's on a sitcom that I enjoy dearly called How I Met Your Mother.
Yes,
there is the character Barney has a hot to crazy ratio.
Yes.
The hotter you are, the crazier you are, and there's got to be a good balance.
Yeah.
This is crazy without the hot.
Oh my!
It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's
the only kind of hot is a hot mess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
what would the ABV have to be for this to meet that threshold?
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, it would just have to be a different kind of drink altogether. Like it would either have to maintain the 9.5 and just be an IPA, or it's got to be like a cocktail in a can, and and it's got to and just be a different drink. Like I don't think that there's any combination of fruit punch and IPA that I want.
Mm-hmm.
That was my worry going into it, and it just is still true.
Yeah,
it's just still true.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not great.
It's sweet, but it's also super bitter, and it's such a weird. There's no good placement for it. Like there's no.
This is like winning 5 games in a season. You're in a bad position. You can't get a quarterback. You can't get your top player. You're just kind of stuck with what you have, and you're just like, I am trapped here.
It's like combining 2 good things and just knowing it's not going to work. Yeah. It's like combining
Chris Rock and whoever he slapped.
Oh yeah, no, it's like ice cream and pizza. They're both great, but you don't want ice cream pizza or pizza ice cream.
Right.
Like you just don't. Like I like fruit punch. I like IPAs. I don't want those together.
Yeah, I gotcha.
You know?
Well, for me, Cerveza Pacifico Clara, it's a W. It's very easy to go down. There's no issues. Like I said, 4.4 APV. So for me, there's no issues. And it's very easy to crush, and I can see why this would be a popular beer and someone would suggest it.
Yeah, and it's a like I said, a good summer beer for a hot day. Pound down one of those, and you'd be pretty happy.
Tip my cap to Orange Crush for this.
Did you say easable?
Easable, he did. I like that. I like that combination of words.
Yeah, it's not a word, but hey,
you coined it just now. It's perfect. Doc. W or L? I think I know the answer, but
yeah, it's a strong L.
It's a strong L. It's a strong L.
Is this like Raheem Moore trying to defend a certain Baltimore player on a playoff game?
It's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. It's pretty bad. It's kind of an epic fail. Though I appreciate the willingness to try.
Yeah. Just hope this was in small batches.
Yeah, I don't know, like. Whoever their taste tester is, though, that was like, send that to production. I question them, but
they were having a good time that day. Maybe they had a few too many, and then they were like, you know what, these all taste good.
Too many 9.5s.
Yeah.
Well, they can't all be winners.
Yeah.
And so I guess we'll get back into Broncos talk and hopefully talk about some more W things. So let's get back into it.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Oh man, I'm still recovering.
Yep.
Let's talk about something fun.
Okay.
Let's talk about a new helmet that the Broncos will be debuting, and I just want opinions on it. I don't know if we can pull up a picture or anything, if that's doable. Regardless, it's been tweeted out by the Broncos Twitter account, and I just want to get overall feels, and I'm going to start with Doc.
Okay. I have an idea of what the long-term plan is.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a fan of it.
Okay. You're like you got some additional context, and you're like, okay,
yeah,
I see the direction.
So again, I know it's part of the plan. So I'll say that in contrast, but I like it. So again, it's the snow cap helmet. Mm-hmm. I think it looks sweet. I know it looks. I've had a few friends say it looks kind of like Syracuse-ish.
Okay.
Which I could say. I could see it.
I could see that as well.
But I like it. I like the stripe. I think that stripe, especially on the Color Rush jersey, looks pretty tough. I actually like the Color Rush uniforms. I think it's closer to the old school unis. So it gives you a little bit of that flavor. And then the old school D. I mean, it is it's the classic one.
Yep.
So I dig it. I like the look. So far, I like it with the option of what they're looking like with the with the orange. Would I have liked kind of the all white uni? Yeah, that would have been
sure,
super sweet. But I think it's a step towards a greater direction. I do think that there will be adjustments to the uniform next year, as well as I cannot imagine a world where next year we don't see the old school, orange with the light blue D helmets.
Yeah.
So I expect that they will have a growing number of uniform options, because right now you can't really mix and match. I know that they did it last year. It was like an accident, right? I think in London, and then they won. So then they wore it again. Or something weird. So there will be some adjustments, I do believe. And so it's a step to the right direction. I like them. And they're pretty sweet. I don't know if I go full 10-10, like just for the helmet. Mm-hmm. It's like an 8.
Okay.
I like it. It's a clean look. And they've never had a white helmet. So it's a little bit like it's definitely new for us here in Broncos country.
Yeah, for sure. It's a different look for sure. I tend to like it as well. I can see the Syracuse comparison though. It is like this, for those of you who can't see it because you're listening to the podcasts, all white helmet, white face mask. You got your Broncos, your old school Broncos D with the horse on the side, and then you've got this stripe down the middle that's orange, and that is flanked on the other side by our dark blue. And I tend to like it. I tend to think it's nice. It's a clean look. I like clean. It's not too busy, and I do see potential for moving forward if they decide to definitely lean into the more old school color schemes and alternates. Then I think there's definitely a place for it. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I think I'm a big fan.
Nice.
John, feelings, thoughts?
Meh.
Yeah. Not a huge fan.
It's just, don't get me wrong. I like this helmet in terms of what it can do in terms of selling. This is great for helmets to be signed by players and then given to kids, or, have it be auctioned off. These are great in that sense. But for me, they just really don't move the needle much. It is, I'm just, if I were to go with the classic D look, obviously I would want the kind of the light blue look.
Sure.
For me, this is just something that it's been done by the Bengals better. It's been done by the Browns worse. It's been done a lot in the NFL recently, and I kind of liked more of the, again, for me, I was going for the 1966 helmet, kind of the crazy horse, and that's just my weird style, and it's never going to come back. The 75th anniversary was the last time when John Elway wore it. I don't see it coming back otherwise. So, it's one of those things where with kind of hearing what Doc had to say is I understand where they're moving forward with a direction now, which makes it a little bit more appetizing to see these helmets where they're at and where they're going.
I think going back to kind of a retro look is smart, though, because I don't know. I don't mind the Broncos' current uniform. I think maybe because I'm, getting to a certain age, I have a lot of nostalgia for that old look. But I think it's a really clean look. I think, the color scheme can be really nice. I think even if you just tweak it slightly, you have a lot of options as far as, really mastering that retro look. I've seen a lot of
cool mock-ups.
Yeah, the mock-ups on Twitter and all over the place are really cool. They get me excited for what a jersey could look like that has that retro feel. That's the direction I would go, though, for sure. And I think if this is one of many, or of a few, even if it's just a few of the more old school ones, then I think it's trending the right direction, at least for me.
Yeah, I think there's 8 games that you have at home a year. Unless you're, Jacksonville and you're going to London.
Right.
Otherwise, hey, have some fun with your jerseys every once in a while. Throw it around, get some extra sales, boost it that way, and people have a good time when that happens. It just makes it a little bit more fun when you go to a game and there's a different uniform, and maybe that's the only time they wear at the Broncos or something like that. Mm-hmm. It just adds a little bit of specialty to your game.
Yep, for sure. Want to get into maybe a less exciting piece of news that we haven't talked about. one of the Broncos defensive linemen, Iwazurike, has been suspended indefinitely for gambling, which has been a current trend in the NFL. We saw this not too long ago with some Detroit players. Obviously, most notably Calvin Ridley last season, missed a whole year. Sean Payton had some interesting remarks about it. I think we've kind of determined that this happened not on his watch necessarily, but obviously they're suffering the repercussions of some bad decision making on his part, on Iwazurike's part. Just kind of overall thoughts about the situation, the loss of Iwazurike, the remarks by Sean Payton. Doc, do you have any strong feelings on that?
Yeah, I think that a year-long suspension is huge. Mm-hmm. If I recall, it made a bet within the facility.
Yeah, that was kind of what least what Sean Payton had kind of led us to believe. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of the feel, I think.
Yeah, so I don't think it was on football or anything. I think it was in the facility. So I get it. The stakeholders who are fans want to know that the games are ethical, right? How many times have we complained about refs or umpires in baseball or refs in basketball who, like, oh my God, like how many times have we questioned that during the Lakers, right? Like, do we have are we doing something here?
Yep.
So I understand what the league is doing. I definitely understand how that mistake can be made. I also think, it's the same as guys getting DUIs or carrying a gun, in the sense of, and though I don't think that they are the same, just have someone else do it. Maybe even the same guy. Right. You hire your buddy, right? So hire staff. It's a write-off. It's a business expense. He drives for you. You get him a concealed carry, carries for you. Give him your phone. He makes his bets. He makes the bets, or have him make the bets through his phone. So I think that there are ways to do it. I think it's also hypocritical for the league to partner with so many betting companies and agencies and move that cash cow, and then get mad when guys want to gamble. Sports gambling's fun, especially if you're an inner city kid who's never really went to the casinos. That's not games that you're used to. So going and doing that might not be your bag, but sports and you feel confident on that and trying to win some extra coin, have a little fun when you're watching a basketball game or what have you. Mm-hmm. So I get it. I also think that Sean Payton is still perturbed from Bountygate.
Yeah.
Him and Roger and some of the owners aren't buddies.
For sure.
And I get it.
Yeah, I get it as well. And I think all of that's true. Like, it's such a hard thing to legislate, right? Like, I think for anyone, like, you can allow players to do it if they bet for their team, but that doesn't mean that they're not putting a bet down for someone else that could impact the game. There's a lot of room for it to be taken advantage of. So I understand, but I also agree. The betting, the sports betting becoming more, people having more access to it nationwide. It has been a big cash cow for them. That's something that, we know, as podcasters and content creators, there's a huge market for sports gambling content. Even well-known companies are kind of going that direction, that we're just, journalistic companies to have people on staff that talk about gambling and sports betting. I understand not wanting it to get too close to the players and the people who are involved because of the significance it could have in altering games. We've seen this with boxing historically. You never really know what to believe is real and what's not real, and you don't want that to happen to your game. But also, a year is a long time, especially for a young player that is looking to make a roster, a young player that really doesn't have the financial access that some of these other high profile players have. And I think it is a bit hypocritical from the league. It's hard. It's hard. You sign a contract, you understand the rules, or at least you should understand the rules of your contract. You shouldn't make that choice, but there's a lot of gray. That's all I'll say about that. Any strong feelings or opinions from you, John?
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is pretty simple. Like you said, you sign a contract. You hopefully, again, some players don't have agents, so that's a little bit different. But hopefully, your agent runs down through everything. Make sure you understand what's going to happen if you do something wrong with your betting.
Yep.
Because obviously, there's other types of betting that's perfectly fine for the NFL to do. You can do esports. You can do plenty of other things. It's just a matter of doing it in the locker room and doing everything by the books. And that's where a lot of the guys have failed. When it comes to Uwazurike, I think the biggest issue for me was I was not thoroughly impressed with him last year. I felt like he was stunted open quite a bit. And by being stunted open, don't get me wrong, it was great, but that was done by scheme fit, scheme maneuverability. And I'm concerned about his development. He's going to have a whole year off now. So he's going to come in year 3, basically being year 2. Obviously, contract-wise, it's still year 2, but it's going to be an uphill battle for him going forward from now on. It'll be interesting to see, if he's on this roster going forward. It seems like he will be. If not, the Broncos probably would have made a move immediately. So I assume they still want to see what they can get out of him. He was a 4th-round pick, if I'm correct, out of Iowa State. So, you still got to see what you have in him. But yes, the Broncos fan base, the Broncos, everyone in the Broncos organization should be very disappointed. And again, should be asking more from the NFL in terms of, hey, give me more materials to give to my players. Just give me more of the information so I have them well informed.
Mm-hmm. It's hard. I mean, you think they would understand, though. I mean, we've seen this enough now around the league from other players. You'd think that there would be some awareness, though, but it seems to be a continual issue. I'll be curious to know how that changes. I'm guessing that there will be changes as the years go along, and maybe even as this season goes along to deciding the level of punishment and whatnot. But I think that for the most part, it's a pretty tough. It's fairly black and white in the eyes of the league, but I don't know that it is as black and white an issue as the league officials feel.
Yep.
Let's talk one more piece. What do you got? You want to talk about Russ? You want to talk about Hackett?
I say Russ.
Russ? Okay.
Yeah. Nathaniel didn't quite hack it to get into this segment. Talk about that next time.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Just because we don't talk about it today doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
That's right.
So I just saw a quick ESPN clip earlier today about Russell Wilson's legacy, and Dan Granziano spoke about what he feels like this year is for Russ Wilson's legacy, and basically said it's a make or break year for Russ as far as his overall legacy is concerned. Yeah. I have some feelings about it, but I want to get your guys' takes first, just because I think that it's an interesting point. I think that there could be some truth to it. I also think that there's a lot of factors, but I'm going to go with John first. John, what's your feeling on Russ's productivity this season and how it will impact his legacy?
So just imagine, go back to 1997 when the Broncos lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. Everyone was kind of having this doom and gloom feel with Denver. And remember, people were kind of saying, what is Elway's legacy that he's left here? He's been, able to do some great comebacks, has some great statistical outputs, but at the end of the day, he's not been able to close out any of the Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. And so people were saying, hey, look, he wasn't definitely at that point. He wasn't the first ballot Hall of Famer in that sense. Maybe, he was, but he needed those Super Bowl trophies and that kind of pedigree to end his career in order to kind of solidify his status in the league. And I think that's kind of what he's getting at with Russell Wilson is he needs to have another solid year, have a year where he gets to the playoffs, starts developing other players, making other players better as well, When that starts to happen, then all of a sudden you can go back to viewing Russell Wilson how he did in the past, where he was helping his players get better, helping the offense be successful instead of being a detriment. So that's my big difference. It's really more about just saying, hey, we want to get back the old Russell Wilson so we can continue on his trajectory to be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, I wonder, Doc, and you can kind of wrap this into your response maybe. I wonder how much what that threshold is, right? Does that mean the Broncos make the playoffs? Does that mean he hits a certain statistical number? Is it more team oriented success, or is it more Russ oriented success? Which one matters more?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's that. So currently he ranks 21st in passing yards in NFL history. Some guys that are ahead of him that are in the hall that I think are within reach, probably even this year. So like Dan Fouts, guys on the cusp like Drew Bledsoe. So if he has a really good year, he could get it to 17 or 18.
Okay.
He's about 11,000 behind Elway, which means he's, 3 years away from being able to get to their solid seasons. Then that gets him into the top 12. I think that's something that would be really impactful. But team success, I really think, is super important. And it's a guy that was known for winning, right? That's what he wanted to be, the greatest winner of all time. That was his objective. Yeah. And so currently, with a 4-11 record last season and a 6-8 record before that, those are his first 2 losing seasons as a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's a downward trend, right? And so I think if he isn't a reason for team success, then I do think that his legacy takes a hit for sure.
Yeah, I would agree that it would take a hit. I wonder what exactly that threshold will be for this season. I think overall Russell play, probably quite a few more years. I'd say 5+ years, potentially, unless the wheels just fall off. So he's got some potential, at least, if you're looking down the road at Hall of Fame, criteria. Statistically, he'll probably hit a lot of those bars, especially like you said, like passing yards, etc. I don't know. I think the question for me has more to do with the system and Pete Carroll in Seattle, and whether he was a product of a really good coaching system, or if he made that offense move with his skill, with his ability to elevate the players around him, which I think he did at times. But I think it's a fair question at this point to say, kind of what we said with Tom Brady when he left Tampa Bay, or when he left for Tampa Bay. Was he a system quarterback? When you have a high profile coach, I think that just is a natural talking point. I'm not saying necessarily.
I think playing to his leverage, or leveraging his strengths is important.
Yeah.
I think every quarterback is a system guy. I think that there are some players that are above the system.
Sure.
Right. So, Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if he would be as Patrick Mahomes in a different system. I think he'd be phenomenal, but would he be unstoppable? I don't think so. Okay. Bruce Arians was able to marry some of the concepts that Tom Brady had utilized, because the first 8 to 10 games, it was a mess over there.
Yeah.
Right. It was a struggle in Tampa. And, Peyton Manning brought his system here. Right? The Broncos learned how to run what Peyton ran. And then we saw what happened when Peyton changed, albeit super late in his career, the tail end. Definitely a much different system with a much different emphasis. So, that can be a struggle. You saw Aaron Rodgers struggle when Matt LaFleur came. So I think that there are just some things that can be challenging in there. I think for a guy to be a Hall of Famer, though, I do think that question has to be muted just a little bit. Okay. I don't think you can be a guy that is, that the word is he got made by the coach, right? Like,
sure.
And especially in kind of a run first, that kind of thing. I think right now the perception of him is really low. So, and writers are the ones that make this, writers and former players. So I think him being able to be a big piece to a winning team and a really good offense, I think is huge. So, if he comes back, throws for 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, runs for a couple, the Broncos are 10-7. I think he's right back on the track he was. I mean, there was no doubt, right? 9 Pro Bowls, 10 years before that. If he gets back to Pro Bowl conversation tip, I think he'll be just fine. If he's middle of the pack again, then I think he's a guy that had a good run.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. I'll say this. So I think Russ has a lot to prove still. I think we can all agree on that. I think when you come from a system with Pete Carroll, and like Doc said, kind of a run first or at least run heavy system, and you come from a Super Bowl team that has arguably one of the best defenses maybe of all time, I think you can start to poke holes in the Russ conversation. I'm curious about, and John, I want you to respond to this too. Do you think, and Doc made a good point, that this is, getting selected and eventually getting into the Hall of Fame is a media thing, right? This is a thing that is an outside selection committee that kind of determines that. Do you think that what Russell Wilson did in his first season with the Broncos, outside of statistics, but just from a persona standpoint and a marketing standpoint, do you think that has an impact? I think of guys like Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco, guys like that had really, really heavy marketing schemes on themselves as far as like, they did some interesting things.
Doing some sit-ups while you're out on your what was it, driveway, like T.O. showing your six-pack off.
Kicking extra points if you're Ochocinco, like just,
he was okay at it, actually. Didn't he do that in a game?
He nailed it, right?
Yeah, he nailed it.
But not to say that Russ is doing that, but I think that there's a certain when the media is covering you a certain way and you're portrayed a certain way in the media, that could impact his legacy in long term too.
Yeah, I think there was a shift on how he was viewed, kind of in the transfer from Seattle to Denver. I think during that time frame, a lot of people in Denver were expecting someone who wasn't going to be as animated, doing as much, promo, those kind of things. They were expecting someone to get to work, though, along that kind of line. And that's why one reason why Seattle was tired of him in some extent. Of course, when you're winning, that solves everything, and they wouldn't have had any issues if he was doing well and winning. But for me, that is one of the big reasons, is that for fans, it can get to be a little bit much when a player is kind of, preaching to you often about certain things that you maybe just don't want to hear about. You just want to hear about, hey, I'm trying to get better. I admit some mistakes here. Sometimes you just want to hear that versus some of what, Wilson says in the past. So I understand how culturally it could have affected him with the writers.
Yeah. I think so too. I think it's just, I think this is a big year. I think ultimately it is. I think this is his chance to stand out, like Doc was saying, show that you weren't, the product of a coach or a system, or having extreme talent around him like Marshawn Lynch and the defense that he had, and kind of separate himself out. Because I think this Broncos team has talent, but I think that he has the potential to be the best offensive player on this team, at least offensive playmaker.
Yeah.
So I will be interested. We will be keeping a close eye, obviously, on Russ as the season goes along. But just as training camp gets started, how does he look? How are players responding to him? Do things seem to be clicking with Sean Payton? Those are all fair and legitimate questions, I think, at this point.
It's the biggest question. I mean, I like all the other ones, right? So super excited that Javonte Williams is going to be expected to contribute throughout training camp. etc. I think there's some really good things there, but the offense will go as far as Russ goes. I think it's plain and simple, and this team can't win without the offense performing. And as we've seen that over the last 7 years. So it will be important. I think for most of us, what will be interesting is I think bad days will mean less than good days. And what I mean by that is it's a new system. I think that they will try some things maybe that won't try in games or see what he can do. So there might be days where he looks bad, but some of that might be stretching what he does well, finding out what he does well and identifying what that is and moving that out, right? But if he looks good, it's things that they will do because it's a new system again. And especially if he's able to string days in a row, then I think you see the team, gel. And if you've watched Netflix the quarterback series, it's phenomenal. But Kirk Captain Kirk Cousins, talks about his lack of comfort within that system, right? He's a traditional pocket guy playing in a traditional pocket system, right? Pretty receiver friendly, a lot of verbiage, but doesn't know the check, right? Do I opt out of this check to go on a run? Russ never checked in Seattle. So, what will that be like here? I bet Sean Payton is a guy that will stay in his ear for a long time, just like Sean McVay did for Jared Goff. He would call the check, and kind of thing. So I expect things to get better, and I think they have to be specifically for Russ for this season to be able to turn around to be what we all hope it is. And I think it's a feather in the cap for both Russ and Sean Payton. Then it shows that Sean Payton not only built Drew Brees up to Hall of Fame career, he saved Russell Wilson's Hall of Fame career. And if you're going to tell me that coaches don't care about that stuff, yeah, they do. Sean Payton wants to get in the Hall of Fame just as much as Russell. 100%.
Well, I think we'll cut it here today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, for listening. We appreciate you as always. Reach out to us, social media at orange_and_brew on Instagram and on Twitter. We're pretty responsive. If you shoot us a message, let's talk Broncos. Let's talk. It's still not good. Still not a good beer.
Not good. Okay.
I'm glad you tried it again. But no, we like to talk Broncos. We like to talk beer. Give us your suggestions. If you want us to try beer, let us know. We'll do our best to make that happen as long as it's accessible to us. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. Be kind to one another. Be safe out there, and go Broncos.
Go Bronco.
Raiders suck.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a